Welcome to your Money in the Bank 2019 predictions. I am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit, and let's just get right down into it. We have a stacked card to get through. We're going to start with the pre-show as the SmackDown Tag Team Championships are on the line as SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Earth's Defenders. Daniel Bryan and Rowan take on Raw's, the Usos. What? So I'm not going to get in the whole logistics of this, how this is working, how the SmackDown Tag Team Champions are taking on a Raw Tag Team. We'll just say wild card and move on because, this is Vince McMahon's brainchild. Anyway, we already had this match to put the titles on Bryan and Rowan, and I don't see them losing the tag team titles anytime soon. I do think that it's a bit perplexing that the man who held the WWE Championship at WrestleMania had a main card match on the show is now on the pre-show. I don't know why any of these men are on the pre-show. They're all so good. Like the Usos, just proven commodity in the WWE right now, and they're on the pre-show. Daniel Bryan, proven commodity, former WWE champion, current tag team champion with Rowan, and he's on the pre-show. I don't get it. Anyway, I do think it's too early for the tag team titles to be taken off the team of Bryan and Rowan. And given the fact that what would happen if the Raw tag team won the SmackDown tag team championships? So that makes me think that Daniel Bryan and Rowan will be retaining the tag team titles. The next match on the pre-show is for the Cruiserweight Champion as new Cruiserweight Champion Tony Nese takes on Arya Daivari. I think much like Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan, it's too soon to take the title off Tony Nese. And what would that say to Buddy Murphy, who he beat for the title at WrestleMania? Because Buddy Murphy has just been called up to the SmackDown roster. And then to have Tony Nese drop the title to Arya Daivari would just kind of negate everything that Buddy Murphy did as Cruiserweight Champion. So I think it's too soon to take the title off of Tony Nese, which is why I'm saying he will retain the title. Now it is on to the main card, and we're going to kick it off with the steel cage match between The Miz and Shane McMahon. Their match last month at WrestleMania was one of the wildest things I've ever seen. I think of it as one of the best, worst matches that I've seen in my life. Now, when I say best, worst match, I don't think it was a bad match at all. I think it was very entertaining. I think the ending itself didn't make much sense to me, but I think of the match as like the movie The Room. It is one of the best things and worst things you've ever seen in your life, and this is exactly what this match was, because I think The Miz has really been killing it lately with this face turn that he has had. His first face turn a couple years ago didn't go all that well, but I think this one is being executed better. Like, don't get me wrong, The Miz is a natural heel. He can be that smarmy, sleazy Hollywood A-lister, but the way he's getting over as a face right now is really well done, and I'm really enjoying it. They planted this back at that one event I will not mention because I'm not going to mention anything about their overseas trips that don't involve places in Europe. But when they were doing that whole best in the world shtick, when the seeds were planted for that, I thought it was gonna, Miz was gonna stay heel, Shane would be face, and then they just kind of, okay, what's going on now? And then Shane turned face, and one of the best heel turns, or Shane turned heel, and one of the best heel turns I've ever seen. And it's really built sympathy for the Miz, and you can't help but laugh every time George Mizanin is shown. Like, especially at WrestleMania when he was squaring up to Shane. that was some of the funniest things I've ever seen. And apparently, legitimately, Shane McMahon broke a couple of George Mizanin's ribs. So, Shane's got to work a little lighter in the ring. But I think this is going to be a wild, wild match. It's going to be taking place inside of a steel cage. Shane's going to jump off something high. You can damn well guarantee that one. I think The Miz is going to get his win back from WrestleMania, though, and I think this will end that feud, and then Shane is going to go on to feud with Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with The Miz, because I think there's so much going on in the main event scene right now. They can't really shoehorn him in there. But they'll find something for him. He can't be like mid-card. He'll be upper mid-card for a while. And then, I don't know, maybe Miz versus Drew McIntyre somewhere down the line. Well, sounds good to me. That, they've been two of the longest tenured guys on the roster. So, we'll see how it all goes. But I'm calling The Miz to win inside the steel cage. Speaking of Shane McMahon, let's segue right into this match as one of his new running buddies, Elias, takes on the big dog Roman Reigns in a one-on-one contest. Roman Reigns. If you're trying to build somebody back up after coming back from leukemia, I don't think they're gonna have Elias beat him. You never know. Vince McMahon is prone to snap decisions like day of. They could have the finished product done tonight at midnight. They get into the arena this morning. Vince is going to throw the whole thing in the garbage and say, "We're scrap it, pal. We're doing it all. We're doing it all again." And you wonder why there's frustration backstage in the WWE locker room. So, but if you're building somebody back up, I think they're doing it the right way with Roman. They're not just putting him right back in the world title scene, because what would that do for Kofi Kingston, honestly? If things happen we'll get in this match a little later on, but if Kevin Owens wins the title, then I can see Roman Reigns being put in that main event position again. But as long as Kofi's champion, I don't see Roman Reigns initially being in the main event scene. He's going to be upper mid-card, of course. But going after the title anytime soon? I don't think so. And is it going to be a competitive match? Sure. Is it going to be the same old formula of Elias taking 90% of the match and rest holds and all that, and then Roman coming back with a Superman punch and spear? I think so. It's pretty formulaic at this point. And it's nothing against Roman Reigns. We've seen it before with Hulk Hogan. We've seen it before with John Cena. And we're seeing it now with Roman Reigns. It's nothing against Roman Reigns. It's what Vince McMahon wants. If you give Roman the opportunity, he can wrestle. Same with Hogan. Nobody thought Hogan could wrestle in the 80s. I have seen matches from him in Japan where he is wrestling. He threw an enziguri once. He threw an enziguri at one time. We never saw him do that in WWE. John Cena can wrestle. Look at his matches with Edge. Now, I'm not the biggest John Cena fan, but John Cena can wrestle. Look at his matches with Edge. He made a good analogy this one time on Edge's DVD, You Think You Know Me, where everyone's sitting, figuring out a match in flat cardboard. Edge is there in 3D, putting this thing together. And when you have somebody as good as John Cena, it just makes it easier. And Roman Reigns is the same way. If you get him with a good opponent who can actually wrestle, they can get a good, decent match out of Roman. Look at the matches that he had with AJ Styles. Need I say more? So, we're going to see the typical Roman formula, but, it works for him, and Roman Reigns takes the win. So I'm going to cheat a little bit with this next one because there are two matches on the card featuring one champion and two challengers. I know it sounds like a triple threat match, but it's actually not. Becky Lynch will be defending both her championships in two separate matches. She'll be defending the Raw Women's Championship against Lacey Evans, and she'll also be defending the SmackDown Live Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. Oh, I've got a lot to say on this one. Because let's just start with the obvious first. I am so sick and tired of seeing Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. I'm so sick and tired of seeing Charlotte Flair get all these championship opportunities. I saw a great meme the other day. It's any women's wrestler wins championship, Charlotte Flair. That's exactly what it is. You can say it's storyline, sure, fine, but Charlotte Flair does not need all these championship opportunities. She's already an 8-time women's champion. She's held the NXT Women's Championship, the Divas Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, the SmackDown Women's Championship. Nobody's going to want to team with her to, to win the Tag Team Championship. If she does that, she'll really be her father. So, and quickly, before we get, much love to Ric Flair, get well soon. But I just don't want to see the match again. Like, sure, they can put on a great match, absolutely. I have no doubt this is going to be a great match. I just don't want to see it. Like, I am so sick of Charlotte Flair getting all these opportunities. It's time for her to move on. It's time for Becky Lynch to move on. Wrestle other women on the roster, like Bayley, like Ember Moon, like Nikki Cross, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So, yeah, I am just sick and tired of seeing Charlotte Flair get all these opportunities, and I am really, really hoping that they don't pull the obvious and put the SmackDown Live Women's Championship on her. But I think they are, and I hope I'm wrong, but everything in me is saying, yeah, Charlotte's going to win because legacy and all that. But if we look at this objectively, Raw needs Becky Lynch more than SmackDown Live does, which would lead me to believe that Becky Lynch will go over Lacey Evans. Now, Lacey Evans is not ready for the opportunity she's been given. She's unproven. I don't think she ever had any huge feuds within NXT. And I know for sure she never held the NXT Women's Championship. So why they're strapping a rocket to her and pushing her so fast is beyond me. I don't think she's ready for it. And I think she's going to... This is my dream scenario that I want to see tomorrow night on Money in the Bank. The first match is Becky versus Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans gets in the ring, does her sassy Southern Belle thing. Becky just comes, boom, knocks her down, grabs her, disarm her. Tap, 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 tap. And then just goes right into the Flair match. That would be the ideal scenario because, like I said, Lacey Evans is not ready for this opportunity, and she is not walking out Raw's Women's Champion. Next up on the card, the United States Championship is on the line once again as Samoa Joe, the champion, defends against Rey Mysterio. This match at WrestleMania really disappointed, only because Rey Mysterio injured his ankle earlier. Now, the realist in me says they should have canceled the match. If that happened, if Rey Mysterio injured his ankle, then they should have just called off the match instead of making like a 1-minute squash fest. Then they had another. Then there was a big thing around that. Where was Dominic during this whole thing? Like, he was supposed to accompany his father to the ring, and he never did. That would have been interesting, though. With Rey Mysterio dressed up like Mysterio from Marvel Comics. Was Dominic supposed to dress up as Spider-Man? Maybe. We'll never know, because Dominic wasn't there. He did show up, though, on their rematch on Raw, which Rey won with the world's worst roll-up. Like, it looked like he was just standing there like that with Joe's legs on his chest, and Joe's hands were underneath the bottom rope. That was a terrible roll-up. So this is third time's the charm. This time the United States Championship will be on the line. Hard to say with this one, because I really want to see Joe keep the U.S. title, to validate himself in the WWE, because he really hasn't done much since his main roster call-up. He had that great angle where he attacked Seth Rollins and blew his knee out on his debut on the main roster. And then nothing. Past 2 WrestleManias before this one, he hasn't even been featured on the card. Although I will admit, he finally makes his debut at WrestleMania as a champion and beats one of the biggest legends in this business to retain the title that he held. So that's an accomplishment right there, He could retire tomorrow and say, yeah, I competed at WrestleMania, I beat Rey Mysterio, and I retained the U.S. title. I got nothing more to prove, but I think there's something left in him that he should really be going after the Universal title once he drops the U.S. title. That will... Joe versus Seth for the Universal title? Yes, please. Thank you very much. Knowing Vince McMahon ain't going to happen, but it's fun to dream. So yeah, I think Dominic's going to get involved somewhere along the line in this match. I don't know how he's going to get involved, but he's going to end up screwing his father over somehow, and Joe's going to walk out with the championship still over his shoulder. So now it's time to move on to the match the pay-per-view event has been named for, that being the Money in the Bank ladders match. We're going to start with the men's ladder match. In this contest, you are going to have Intercontinental Champion Finn Balor, Drew McIntyre, Ricochet, Andrade, Baron Corbin, Ali, Randy Orton, and replacement for Braun Strowman, it's speculated that he is injured, Sami Zayn. Now, I have like a list of the guys that it starts at like who I really do not want to win, which would probably be the winner, to who I want to win. So let's just run that down. Coming in at number 7, Baron Corbin. I do not want him to win, which makes me think that WWE is going to troll us all and have him win the briefcase again. Baron Corbin has really been getting a lot of go-home heat, and it's not the heat you want. People legitimately hate him. They don't want to see him. But if you hate Baron Corbin that much that you're booing him, they think of that as a good thing. So my suggestion to you, you hate Baron Corbin as much as I do, make no noise when he comes to the ring. If he doesn't draw a reaction, Vince McMahon's going to be like, oh, what's going on, pal? He's not drawing a reaction. Get him off the TV. So, you have that. Next up, for who I don't want to win, Randy Orton. He's just already done it all, and you know what? He's won a ladder match, a Money in the Bank briefcase. Former multi-time world champion, has held basically every title except for the Universal title. And I think it's just time for him to let the new guys come up. New guys like Ali, who, while I am ranking low, I wouldn't mind seeing him win this match. Next up, Sami Zayn. Again, I may be ranking him low. Doesn't mean I don't want to see him win the match. Ricochet up next. We're getting up to the higher levels here. I would be happy if Ricochet wins it. He's going to do some amazing things off that ladder. Finn Balor, Intercontinental Champion, the first Universal Champion. I would not be upset at all if he won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Drew McIntyre, if number 1 wasn't in here, he would be my pick to win. But I am pulling for him because he's so good. Granted, when I was watching him on NXT, I wasn't a fan. It took his amazing match with Johnny Gargano for the NXT Championship to make me a fan of his. And I am rooting for Andrade in this match. I want him to win this. But like I said, given that nobody wants Baron Corbin to win the title, or win Money in the Bank briefcase, I think the WWE is going to book Baron Corbin win, but I am saying Andrade. But right, like I said, Andrade and Drew McIntyre. If one of those two win, I will be very, very happy with that. It's time for the ladies to shine in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. The participants in this one will be Ember Moon, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, who is obviously subbing for Sasha Banks, who has not been seen on WWE TV since WrestleMania, Bayley, Natalya, Naomi, Carmella, and replacing an injured Alexa Bliss. They came out the other day and said that Alexa Bliss has not been medically cleared to compete in Money in the Bank. I'm going to get into that in a different time, but replacing Alexa Bliss will be Nikki Cross, who had a huge win this past Monday night on Raw, giving her momentum already before she was even announced for the match. Who do I want to see win this match? There are 3 right off the top of my head that I can just tell you that should win this match. That being, not first, but Ember Moon. She really needs the win. She really needs to do something spectacular in this match because she's kind of floundering at the moment after suffering an injury at the Royal Rumble. And then all of a sudden, oh, she's back at the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. No build-up, nothing. Okay, whatever. Next up, Nikki Cross. It's interesting what they're doing with her, taking the little psychotic Scottish woman and turning her more normal. Like, you saw that on Raw when she was talking with Alexa Bliss, and she was talking all calm and steady. And then she hit the ring, and she's Psycho Nikki. So, I want to see what they're going to do with this, but I think who's going to win this is going to be Bayley. Like she, again, much like Ember Moon, she needs the win after coming out of the tag team with Sasha Banks. And I think this would be WWE's way of rewarding Bayley for sticking with the WWE and not going with Sasha when she walked out, basically. It's kind of sad to say that, but, I could see that. They'd be like, oh, she can go do whatever she wants, but Bayley, you stuck behind us. We're going to give you the briefcase. But would that mean a Bayley heel turn? We'll have to think that one over. But yes, I am saying Bayley to win the Women's Money in the Bank briefcase. It's the match everyone has wanted to see since AJ Styles went over to Monday Night Raw in the Superstar Shakeup, or is he even still on Raw? Who knows anymore with everything that's been going on? But Seth Rollins will be defending the Universal title against AJ Styles. This is going to be a fantastic match. Now, I know in the past, we throw around the term dream match. A dream match. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania, and they didn't deliver. I blame the WWE for that one. Because when you look back at their Wrestle Kingdom match, Shinsuke and AJ delivered big time. I wanted to throw an F-bomb. But for some reason, their match did not deliver. Now, I'm not saying this is going to bomb spectacularly like AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm still very hopeful that these two are going to put on a good match. But I also said that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose would put on a good match at TLC, and the less said about that one, the better, because it was not a good match. Anyway, I am hopeful that this is going to be a great match. There's been so many people saying, oh, this is going to set up the next pay-per-view glorified house show from Jeddah Super Showdown, because Brock Lesnar's going to interfere. No! That big slab of meat needs to stay the hell away from this match altogether. I don't want to see that happen again, because that happened at Hell in a Cell last year between Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, and the match completely went to hell. And, it was the one sour point in that excellent pay-per-view. And if Brock Lesnar shows up again, no. Stay away. Stay on your farm, Brock. Stay away from this match. But by hook or by crook, Seth is going to walk out still Universal Champion. I don't think it's time to take the belt off of him. He's only been champion for a month. So the title needs a good long reign. Seth needs a good long reign as champion after the last however long it was with no-show Lesnar holding the title hostage. And we can actually have a champion who's there every week, who's defending it. And finally, the WWE Championship is on the line as champion Kofi Kingston. I would never get tired of saying that. Takes on challenger Kevin Owens. This is going to be just a back and forth delight. Kofi has really been killing it as WWE Champion. Still so glad that WWE decided to put the title on him. It's so deserving of him. And I think the way Kevin Owens' heel turn has been done has been masterful. I know there was this long plan for him to be a face, but Kevin Owens is not a face. He is a heel by nature. He is a natural heel. He is a great heel. And I think if it would have went on longer, his babyface push would have bombed. So I'm glad he's back to being heel. Not so glad he's back with Sami Zayn, but, whatever. Because Zayn's on Raw, he's on SmackDown, but, wildcard rule. Hate the wildcard rule. This is going to be a fantastic match. I don't see Kevin Owens winning the title. Maybe somewhere down the line, like a couple months, maybe SummerSlam, but not right now. They just put the title on Kofi. Give him more time as champion. Don't just hotshot the title right off of him a month later. Let him grow as champion. He can do it. I have the utmost faith that Kofi Kingston can be a great champion. Just please, WWE, give him 5 more months as champion. That's all I ask. 5 months as Kofi Kingston as champion would be wonderful. So I do believe that Kofi will be walking out with the title, and I'm kind of hoping somewhere along the line that they do another something with Daniel Bryan. That would be awesome. Triple threat: Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston, and Kevin Owens at SummerSlam. Oh, and in a Canadian crowd too. Kevin Owens winning the championship in Toronto. Dude, that would be amazing. So I cannot wait for Money in the Bank. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year, and I don't think this will be any exception. This is going to be a great one. So let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Do you like my predictions? What are your predictions? Let me know. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, tap that bell and you'll be notified whenever I go live with a new video. I'm still working on trying to get Irish Bandit Revolution back up. But I'll have more news about that coming later next week. So hang tight for that. So those were my Money in the Bank predictions. Have a great Money in the Bank weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon.